Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. You know it's harvest season when you have yet another great harvest celebration, this one called Harvest of Hope. And the Caldwell Family Centre has really been going through some very challenging times. And we're really reaching out to you, the community, to help them, because the trickle-down effect of them losing some of the great programming that they do is catastrophic to our community. And here to tell us more about the wonderful work that they do at Caldwell, I'm joined by Susan Hopkinson. She is the Acting Executive Director. Welcome, Susan. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Our good friend Sam LaPrade from City News reached out to us here at Daytime and said, you've got to have Susan on because of those challenges. Tell me, Susan, what have the challenges been like for Caldwell over the last few years?
Well, since COVID started, things have changed dramatically in Ottawa in terms of the need of families not having enough money to buy food. And during COVID, there was generally an understanding that families needed extra help. And there was COVID funding that came through the city, through the government, various agencies. A lot of people really expected COVID to have an impact, and they provided funding accordingly. But now that COVID is no longer in the picture, or at least we hope not,
right.
But the COVID funding is no longer there, but the need is. It has not gone away with the way the economy is, and we've been struggling in particular this year to just keep up. And summer is a slow time fundraising wise for us, and so traditionally we save a little money to make it through the summer because we know this.
Yeah.
But this year we just haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, and you're more than just a food bank, you know. And I mentioned food bank, the Ottawa Food Bank, right? You probably saw the story with them that they had to cancel some of their volunteer sorting days because they didn't even have the food. And I know, you know, thanks to the Ottawa Senators, they certainly stepped up with a very generous donation to them. But you're more than just a food bank at Caldwell, Susan. Tell us a little bit about more about Caldwell.
Well, Caldwell has many programs to help members of the community. The biggest is the food security programs, the food bank. But the other food security program, of course, is meals. We do breakfast and lunch every day, 300 to 400 meals every day for members of the community to come in and get breakfast and lunch. And they rely on those meals. And not everybody can use food from the food bank and take it home and cook it,
right,
for various reasons. So those meals are so important. And the other aspect of the meal program is the drop-in center that surrounds it, and that is that people have the opportunity to go and just watch TV, use the free phone, which is very well used. The free phone is used a lot.
It's something that we all take for granted, right?
Yeah, well, when COVID happened and we had to close the drop-in, it had a serious impact on the community, and sometimes you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And when COVID stopped and we opened the drop-in again, we heard from so many community members how important that program was for them. And we all know there was a lot of talk about the effects of isolation on mental health and all of those things. And people have come back and said, we need this.
Yeah.
It's so important to us. It's important to our mental health. We can't sit at home all day doing nothing. Like, you know, it's so important for...
Well, what's the demographic that you serve for the most part?
Well, anybody in need. We have people from all walks of life. All walks of life. And in the neighborhood that we serve most with the drop-in at Caldwell Family Centre is in an area with a lot of children. It's a very high population of children and youth in that area. Well,
as you said, you know, funds have been really hard to come by, and you know, I'm not surprised in one way, because we know that there's so many people struggling. You know, food inflation has gone certainly through the roof, but you do have a fundraiser coming up. Let's talk about that fundraiser and what people can expect, Susan.
This is our Harvest of Hope, another harvest. But that's on October 4th, and it's a fundraising dinner and an auction. And it's going to be a great event. We've got a number of interesting auction items coming, and I'm drawing a blank on where it is.
That's okay. I've got it here. The Infinity Convention
Center.
Yes. We're a team here. Don't worry about any of that, Susan. And you know, the important. So, where does your funding come from for the most part? Is it private donations that you have to rely on only?
Not only.
Okay.
We receive some funding from the city. Is 25% of our funding comes from the city.
Okay.
But most of it comes from private donations, and community groups, groups like Kiwanis, Rotary, various faith communities are always very, very supportive, but most of our funding comes from individual donations, and we have seen a drop in that, and you know, just people are feeling the pinch.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm, you know, mentioning isolation. I know that, you know, I look at Britain, for instance. I think they have the first minister of loneliness. You know, that it's the first country in the world to have that. So that just proves to me, even, you know, pandemic aside, I think we find so many more people living in isolation without something like Caldwell. I mean, Susan, where do they go? I mean, there's so few opportunities out there.
There is, and we need so many more places for people to go. I don't think there are enough in Ottawa. We're seeing people going just to find a place to sleep for the night. They're going to the mission. They're going to shelters.
It's overflowing, right?
So
everywhere.
just to find a place to sleep, and that doesn't leave a place just to go to socialize.
Yeah, and as you said, to do simple things like use the phone and, you know, just sit down and watch a television show, for goodness sake. Thanks so much for joining us, Susan. Really appreciate it. I'll remind everybody at home, Infinity Convention Center, October the 4th, caldwellfamilycenter.ca for more information.